You are all weirdos.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Manga and Anime Podcast. I'm here with my man, Luke Hollywood. What up, Luke?
Oh, what up, Jim?
What up? And it is Friday, so we are going to be talking a little bit of Chainsaw Man and the Chainsaw Man Manga Reading Club. And I'll tell you right off the bat, one of my favorite mangas of all time.
Ain't this the first one you started with, Jim?
It's the one that I ended up, because again, if you are following along with us and want to read these, you can get the first 3 chapters for free over on the Shonen Jump app. You can go to the Manga Plus app, but you can also go online to the Viz deal and all that stuff all rolled up into one. And what happened was I read the first 3 chapters, and then I immediately ended up subscribing to the Shonen Jump app, which again, we'll put it out if you're in the U.S. It's $2 a month, and you get
best
tons. It is the best deal, and I ended up getting it just for Chainsaw Man at that point, and I ended up, ripping through the whole deal. So I was really into it, and it is pretty much, if I had to say, right, it's my favorite manga of all time. So when we ended up picking some of these, this was going to be one that even if people were like, what, Chainsaw Man? No, this is a really great manga, and it's one of my favorites. So we're going to jump into this, but we're going to start with you telling me what it is called, Luke.
Yes, indeed. This is The Chainsaw Man by Tatsuki Fujimoto. Award-winning, Jim. Oh, my goodness. And this is the banger chapter 1, Dog and Chainsaw.
Dog and Chainsaw. And if you ended up where you have seen or heard anything about Chainsaw Man, maybe you end up going into this and you're like, I've never heard this name. But if you are around, Pochita is such a huge thing. It is a little dog with a chainsaw coming out of me. So cute. He's horrifically cute. And if you're going to read it, they did such a great job here of putting him in that first page where it's a color page where it makes you want to just read. I mean, he makes me smile the whole time. But you're also set up to get our main character, Denji, who is a sad sack. And unfortunately, at the beginning, what you end up having is a rundown of making money. You don't get the sad sack bit yet. You kind of just realize that this guy, maybe he loves the money, where he loves it so much he's, pretty much sold an eyeball. He's got an eye patch, a ball. He sold one of his testicles. He's going through what everything ends up making money. We can cut trees, right? We can do this. And you even see at one point where he's cutting trees with Pochita, which is kind of cute, the whole idea. But he ends up going down and he has a debt. Okay, we got to get our debt down. You don't know quite why this debt is going. But the big thing is that if you end up hunting devils, if you're a devil hunter, you can make a lot of money. You end up starting off with, one of the most horrifically crazy deal. And I love the idea that you're like, what is this? Like a tomato? It is.
It's a goofy looking tomato.
It's a tomato devil where it has eyeballs, a lot of legs. It is horrific. And you end up going where with Pochita, he's able to take down this tomato. And then this guy's there and he's like, hey, I burned this thing because the seeds can be dead. All this is kind of side stuff where you get this. But he's all excited. And he's like, all right, I killed this tomato. Where's my money? I get this fee or whatever. And you see that he's being played 100%.
Like a fiddle.
It's really a shame as you go through this, because you end up having a gangster guy says, okay, here's your reward, 400,000 yen. Okay, but also minus the interest and your debt. Okay, also the finder's fee. They're just playing him. He ends up with pretty much money from killing this horrific demon. That's supposed to be the way that you can make a lot of money. He gets enough money to pretty much buy a slice of bread.
Because he got to pay his water bill, so he got no money
and other debts. Yeah, he gets nothing. So he's there. He's kind of sad with Pochita. They're walking around, and he says, yep, it looks like we're not going to have a lot to eat this month. This is the whole month, and they only have enough to get like a piece of bread. Well, while this is going on, you do find out the background of this, where his dad was kind of sus, I guess, ends up owing gangsters money, and then when he couldn't pay it off, he killed himself. He committed suicide. So not only did he leave his son there, but these jerk-off gangsters say, well, now the debt's yours.
Sins of the father.
If anything, if you read DC, it's kind of a Bane type deal where, Bane had to go to jail for his father and stuff, but it is Sins of the Father and the way that they play it out where, unfortunately, you can look at it and say Denji's just a nice guy, right? He's not dreaming big or whatever. He might not be so clever with the money because the idea that he has to realize, like, he has to do this and he's never going to get out of this debt.
But he's kind of stuck. He can't really do anything.
Yeah, they'll kill him if he tries to leave. And the big thing that plays out through this is one of the big things that he's worried about is Pochita. The dog. He's a devil. He's a chainsaw devil dog.
Friend.
Yeah, it's his only friend. And he gets to, like, when they're there and he waxes poetic about all his dreams. And I'm telling you, his dreams aren't big. And that's what makes you really love Denji. And Pochita, you can't help but love. You look at Pochita, you love him, right? But Denji, I mean, the things that he thinks that are the best things in the world, oh my God. But even before that, you get these gangsters and they're like basically calling him a dog. He'll just do whatever. We could kick him and he'll come back for more. He's under our thumb, all this. And this one gangster guy, not the main guy, but this other young, hey kid, I'll give you 100 yen if you eat this cigarette. All right. And he eats the cigarette. They're just laughing at him, throw money on him and drive away. But actually, he doesn't get mad. You know what I mean? Because he says, now we have enough money for 3 days of food. I'm like,
well, how many slices of bread is that? Oh, my goodness.
3. Because he goes and he ends up, we're going to be able to eat for 3 days. Now, again, this is a kid who has sold his testicle. He's sold an eyeball. He's being treated like crap by these gangsters because of his dad. And we get more of the dad later, but we just let you know with that. But he ends up, he's eating a piece of bread. He's sharing it with Pochita, right? Right there shows you he has a piece of bread for the day's meal, and he's still splitting it with this chainsaw dog.
Gem.
So you can't help. He is. Both of them are gems. And he starts saying, yeah, kind of living a normal life is not really in the cards for us, but get this. And I'm telling you, this is so heartbreaking and really makes you love these characters. Mm-hmm. He says, I heard this, Pochita. Can you imagine this? Like, we have bread. I hear that people eat jam on their bread. Can you imagine? Like butter and jam on bread? I mean, who would have thunk it?
Crazy talk.
And he says he almost feels like, it feels like he feels guilty for even thinking that he possibly could get jam on the bread. But then he even goes even more about it as it goes. And you see, as the deal, I love when Pochita wants to like lick him and kiss him, but you got to get away from that chainsaw.
The big blade
coming out of him. It makes me laugh. But you end up, he just keeps telling his dreams to Pochita. You find out that that's really big. And in another gem way at the end of what Pochita really needs in life, he just loves to hear these dreams and loves to think of good times and things like that. Because as he's going, he starts saying, I also kind of wish that I could, kind of meet a girl. And he says, I couldn't invite her to this shed. They live in this like really small shed type deal. He says, I can't bring her over. And really, I don't have money for a date. But if dreams do come true, I want to hug a girl before I die. So he wants jelly on a piece of bread and a hug from a girl.
Big
now,
trips.
if you're going into this and you just started reading manga, this is in my mind, one of the best examples of how you do flashbacks in a manga. Because then you go to a flashback and you see, and it really plays out more than a lot of other times where it's a full black page. The paneling, the page is black with what we then see Denji as a little kid. So it's very obvious that it's a flashback. But it's really cool to give you how that plays out. And I love that. That's one of my favorite things that I think manga does that I wish Western comics would take up. And
it's very well done.
You really know right away, okay, this is a flashback. Even if this isn't confusing at all, but you see it. Where you do end up seeing that Denji burying his father at his grave. Gangsters come up and say, yeah, your dad was a piece of crap. He owes us money. We're coming, like a little kid, and they're like, we're coming back to get 700,000 yen from you tomorrow. We're going to kill you. And you end up having Denji at the worst point. Like, what am I going to do? What's not? That's where he meets Pochita, still in a flashback where Pochita, he comes from behind a tree and he's hurt. He's a devil. He's hurt. Denji's just a kid here. But you go from here because he ends up figuring out, oh my God, this devil is kind of like nice and hurt, and maybe I should help him because of the idea, almost again like a Jujutsu Kaisen, how we had where when you had the whole deal of the grandfather dying, I don't want people to die like this. His dad has just killed himself, and now he ends up seeing this devil. Even if it's a devil, it's going to die. He doesn't want anybody else to die around him. He ends up making this weird contract with them. They're blood brothers. They are.
That's blood brothers. It's almost like vampires. It's crazy. No, but that's the thing, because at this stage, this is the lowest of the low for Denji. Like, when he sees the chainsaw dog, he's like, oh, just let it happen. Just come at me. I'm ready the goodbye, cruel world. Because he's going to die anyway. He knows, he's not going to make the money for the gangsters. But then he realizes that poor old Pochita, and he doesn't even know it's Pochita yet, but poor old Pochita, he's hurt, he's bleeding, and he's surprised. Is he going to die just like Dad did? And then, really, like, this is just all art, but you say it's grim.
His dad hung himself.
So he sees all that, and then that's when he realizes that it's up to him to do something. He tells the poor little dog to bite him because the devils, they can use the human blood and that heals them. So that if you don't want to die, then take a bite out of me. And he does. My blood doesn't come free. This is the blood contract. I'll save you and you save me. And then they'll work together. And then that's what they're going to do. They're going to hunt the devils. And this is where the gangster man, he sees, I can make some money out of this kid by doing the devil hunters. And I also get him to sell his testicles. Bada big, bada
And
boom.
I love the idea. Like, you end up where he looks like he might be 13, 14, I would guess, somewhere around there. His dad's dead. You obviously see he has no family. So what is he going to do? I mean, even if the gangsters weren't there, he's probably going to end up in big trouble. And it's so awful at the point where the gangsters end up leaving him there. Before he meets Pochita, the gangsters even say, I don't care if you have to whore yourself out. Like, awful stuff.
Not
where,
nice.
Like, why? And so when you have this, I really give Denji a lot of credit here. Because he ends up becoming the contract blood brothers, Pochita, and says, I'll save you so you save me. We have a contract. I don't want to die either. He comes up with the plan and actually goes to the gangster and says, look, I ended up killing this team. Can I be a devil hunter? Can you let me do that?
That's his value.
And he said he doesn't have the money. It's not like he ends up doing this one night and gets the money. He doesn't have the money, but he does show the gangster, don't kill me. I will be able to do this. And like you said, yeah, he shows his value. Also, he's a little kid in this piece of crap. Sus gangster. He's just going to take advantage of it.
Big
and
time.
what I like about it, too, is the idea a lot of times we will see stuff. I mean, if you're reading a lot of manga like a Kaiju number 8, where all of a sudden, hey, look, I'm the Kaiju, but I can end up being good and I'll do this. Like, this gangster does not even mention even really anything until later. The idea that he has a devil that he's using to help him. So I like that. I like that it's just like they're just weird things together. But you see them because we pop out of there. They're just best friends. He falls asleep. He's hugging Pochita as he sleeps. That's all they have. They have this little room shack deal.
And they have each other.
That's it. They have each other. And you know what else? They have their dreams. They do. and it's really great because then you end up even having Denji talk about, like, I'm so hungry I can't sleep. Again, he shared his one piece of bread with Pochita. And so that's awesome. I mean, that gives you that deal. And you do see in a deal with this, Pochita at the end kind of talks a bit. But when you get it here, even just the weird, because it's not detailed, but the eyes of Pochita, like you can tell, Pochita loves Denji so much. That's all they have. And he says, it's hard. I'm hungry. I can't go to sleep. When I don't go to sleep, I think about the debt. Then I really can't sleep. Like, this life sucks. I mean, it really, really sucks to the point where he's sold an eyeball and a testicle to really try to make ends meet, but he can't. And then he starts with the dreams again. I know what I'll dream about. I'll dream about that jam on the bread. And he says, I'll spread jam on a sliced bread and eat it with you, Pochita. I'll flirt and stuff with a girl. And then we'll play video games in our room together, and I'll fall asleep in her arms.
Even that is so innocent. Like, his dreams just so pure.
Yeah, and he says, good dream, right? And then you end up where Pochita's like, yeah, Pochita barks, whatever. Out of nowhere, Denji starts spitting up blood.
He cannot catch a break.
No, it's so awful. And then he says, oh, man, my mom said that when, she had a heart condition, they told me that when she died, like, she was spitting up blood. So there, you get a really weird way to show you he has no family. Like, she's gone, whatever.
And he is doomed. Like, this guy, like, he's gonna die.
And you know what it is, too? Yeah, he's so doomed. But yet, in that, he's not, oh man, this cruel world. I hate this world. Pochita, we should go and kill people because they did this and that, whatever. I mean, at one point, you could think, Denji, kill the gangster. Like, you have a devil chainsaw dog, but that's not him. He never blames anybody either, and that's what makes it great. I mean, this guy can't he's not going to catch a break as we go.
Like, he could blame everybody for this.
He could. Or, again, his dad might have owed money. His dad killed himself. And this guy, if you ended up where Denji, if this was real, like, he might say, okay, you know what? You might, I'm going to look the other way if you want to do that because your life is so bad. But he has his dreams. He has Pochita. I'm telling you, and he's just, I get the idea too, as the gangster then, and it's late. The gangster knocks on his shed door. I think Pochita's lapping up that blood. Disgusting. But you end up where he's like, hey, we got another devil for you. Hey, Denji, we got another devil. We're going to go. This work. All right. And Denji thinks it's weird, even like, oh, that's weird, whatever. But okay, where are we going? And they go to like what looks like an old like concrete mill or something, one of those places where it seems weird. And they go in and he's like, saying the gangster Denji is like, oh, here, where is it? Whatever, you're getting me here, it's hiding. And then you take it, because out of nowhere, you get Samurai Sword guy who just comes over and runs through both Denji and Pochita.
The double kill.
And you're like, really? What else can go wrong?
Nothing good happens to this kid. This is just the worst thing ever.
The worst part of it, or the best part is this should be something where, like, Tototori or whatever that was, like, you would think that this is so depressing that you wouldn't, but it isn't, because you still have the hopefulness and the feels and the wholesomeness of how this all plays out. But boy, it is miserable all the time for Denji. Now he's run through with a sword.
And that's the thing. Like, we do have the two of them, like Yakuza Grandpa walking through, and Denji. Denji is already a little bit suspicious. Like, he's like, is there really a devil here? What's going on? But he's a good kid, so he's going to follow orders. And that's basically what the grandpa is saying. You are a good kid, like a dog. You do tricks like for cheap tricks for a few treats like a dog too, but don't like the dogs. And then he just stabs him, runs him through. Like, doesn't even go like, oh kid, good job, sorry it has to be this way or whatever. I hate dogs. And then he runs him through.
He's giving this nice little, it's as nice as it's gonna get,
like a little eulogy, and then he just kills him
and then goes, yeah, you're just like a dog. I hate dogs. Boom, run through. And you're like, what is going on here? But then we see, and it makes sense what's happening here, because what you then get is that the gangsters, the Yakuza, they ended up finding a demon, a devil, and they were inspired by Denji and Pochita. If Denji can have Pochita, and really, it gives you the idea that Denji pretty good with this devil hunting, but yet they've been using him the whole time. But instead of just keep on doing that, they decide to up their game and decide to join forces with a devil. And the part is they never really figured out the small print, because this is a zombie devil. So with that, they end up everybody's zombies. But these guys, these Yakuza, they are being controlled. They're dead. They're gone. And what the big zombie then has, the zombie devil, he's pretty much gained an army of guys, and what he wants is to take down. Yeah, it's the Yakuza zombie crew. And it wants to kill all of the devil hunters. Those are the scourge of this. I'm going to take you down. That's why you ended up having, Denji being led here with Pochita.
And this ain't a cute devil like Pochita is. This guy is freaky looking.
Oh my God. I can't even explain it. I mean, I'm telling you, as a face where his chest should be, he has entrails coming out, a brain out the top, maybe kind of stumps about. It's bad. It's really bad, and says, I control all these now. We're going to take you down. They're my slaves willingly because they're stupid. They didn't look into it. It's funny where he basically says, they wanted all the power of the devil where they got it, but I'm a zombie devil, so they're zombies now, and they're being controlled, so they got what they want. It's almost like a karma thing in that. But with that, he says, just like the Yakuza grandpa said, I hate dogs, so I'm going to kill you. You end up having this, I hate devil hunters, so I'm going to get that, and you're garbage. You're human garbage. At this point, we've already seen that Denji, he hasn't eaten. He said that he's starving. He's already spit up blood a little bit ago. He also had a sword run through him. There's no way he can fight.
He's not in good condition.
And Pochita is hurt as well. There's no hope for him. And you end up having a zombie horde all with machetes. And they get sliced and diced.
That page is brutal. We would say, like, this manga is good for all the family. Maybe not this one, because this is brutal.
At one point, you see what looks like they're trying to keep away, and it's black and white, so you're not going to get, like, red blood that much with this, but
still grim.
When you end up seeing a bunch of blades going through Pochita and Denji, that's bad enough. Denji's head's cut in half. Then you end up, because they're garbage, they get thrown in the garbage. And they are just pieces, and dead. I mean, you think at a point where something has to happen, and it does, but at this point you think, like, this can't be, right?
Like, this is dead.
He's in, like, pieces, and you don't know how you're going to go from there. You're like, what's going on? I mean, I see a handle, and you see Pochita, too, is dead. Well, with that, blood runs down out of Denji, goes into Pochita's mouth. We already were told that heals the devils. So that goes. So, okay, we're working this out. You go to a flashback again. Really well played out again. Like I said, where you can get how that works in manga and go with the idea where Pochita and Denji have been working together for a while. At one point, they're cutting trees. We saw at the beginning that they said they make some money for cutting trees. And he says, listen, Pochita, it's tough fighting these devils. I may die. And the thing that I will worry about as I'm dying is you. And this is where, again, in a flashback, you get such good feels of this time. With the idea, I don't want you to starve or get killed by another devil hunter. I mean, they're family now. They're the only family each of them have. His dad ends up killing himself without no concern for his son. He does not want to die and leave Pochita in that position like that and is afraid of that. So that's his big, like, again, it's so selfless. The idea, in his mind, I think he is saying, listen, I'm going to die. There's no way that this ends up, maybe you don't have a lot of retired devil hunters around, right? It's like I said to Tanya when she's like, oh my God, I can't believe that guy died of a heroin overdose. I'm like, this is why we don't have 95-year-old heroin addicts.
No, old age addicts.
No, you don't have the old folks home for the heroin. I think it's the same here where you don't have a lot of older devil hunters because it is the game where you're going to end up dying eventually. So this is almost like a will that he's making and says, if I die, I want to give my body to you. Now, he may know how this works, whatnot, whatever, but he says, I want you then to take over my body. And what you do, he even has a plan here, because again, if all of a sudden Denji comes out of the grave, walks, the Yakuza then are going to come again. This is his concern in the past. They're going to come and try to get money or kill you again, whatnot. But he says, just wait till I'm buried, wait till the heat's off, and then just get this and get the heck out of town and go and live a normal life and then die a normal death. It's very similar again to Jujutsu Kaisen, that idea of just die properly and have a nice life. And remember, make my dreams come true. Go and do your thing and you'll be able to do that. And almost gets the idea. But again, you could think that he's saying this and then he'll commit suicide like his father. And that, no, he's saying, I'm going to give it my all and whatnot. We'll work together. But if I die, just do that.
He wants the best for him.
You end up seeing his body just starts forming together, but it looks like a mannequin, right? It looks like a crazy toy.
Like the weirdest jigsaw you've ever seen.
It's so weird, and they're still in the garbage can deal, the big deal, and it's a, what is it called? A garbage canister. Yeah. You end up a garbage bin.
It's a bin.
I'm having problems. You end up where then you see though you get this weird deal where you do have the full body. Denji seems to be pretty much together, healing, but you do have Pochito's like in his chest. Merging in with him. Then you get like a white type panel of almost like maybe Denji was in heaven.
Is this garbage heaven?
Yeah, he's coming back. He's like, yeah, I think this is heaven, but I got a lot of banana peels around me. I'm like, that has to smell so bad.
It's kind of funky.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden, boom. you end up, he's alive again. Pochita's licking, Denji's face, and he's like, Pochita, oh my God, did you take my body like I told you to? Out of nowhere, I'd love the idea, and this have they announced an anime?
Oh, it's on the way. It's coming.
I can't wait. I want to see what voice they have
he
for
has to have, like,
Pochita.
a cute little high-pitched
Because he has
voice.
to have this really cute voice, but I have a weird way that in this maybe you'll have a weird well, as always, I love, it's just weird because this is kind of the mind, but not, and whatever. And he says, I've always loved listening to you talk about your dreams. This is a contract. Now, again, it goes full circle. Which what happened before, and says, I'll give you my heart in exchange. Show me your dreams. And again, there's where, these contracts, a life debt, where at first it was, here, use this, and me and you'll help each other. And now it's just Pochita's giving up so much here to try to bring him back. And let's just have these dreams. Show me what your dreams are. And it's, again, everybody, Pochita and Denji, so selfless, and so they're the gems of all gems. And that's what keeps you going. There are intriguing things in here. It gets real horrific in a minute, stuff like that.
But they are the center of it all. The world's very interesting, the devil's all very interesting, but it's these two and their bond and how they can survive death itself. It's that strong.
When I first read it, this is why my first manga that I really got into, where I ended up, and it was and I'm going to speak for Andrew and Belfast, because same deal. He ended up getting into this one as well, because when you're doing this and you get to this point, when Denji comes back and Pochita says, we got a bond, I want your dreams or whatever, you end up how the heck are you getting this much character work in a thing with a dog that's a chainsaw and a kid that's the set? Why am I almost with tears of joy going through this? And it really amazed me of this showed me how much more these manga things that I'd never heard about or read, how much you can get into this, that it isn't just everybody has their own idea. Oh, manga's this, manga's that. When I was going, what is that, tentacle porn? You have all that crazy stuff going on, never realizing the depth of character work and the things that just get you. I got more feels in this chapter than I probably have in years of Big Two Marvel DC.
And it still hits no matter, you've read this a bunch. Every time
it always does.
The feels still hit. And this ain't even the end of the chapter.
And imagine the idea, because when we talk about this, you really don't have what is set up yet for as much of an ongoing story from here yet. You're just doing character work to a point where you really feel like you know these characters, even a Pochita who just talked the first words that it talked there. Yeah. Even without anything with that, you saw that bond. And you do play off a boy and his dog and things like that, but in that weird way to make it just work. So you end up where Denji wakes up and Pochita, and he looks and he's like, oh my God, my wounds are gone. What? And then he thinks of it because he looks down. Now he has Pochita's tail, which is the revving up of the chainsaw deal. Yeah, the ripcord. It's in his chest coming out. And then he says, and it's almost at this point, it's heartbreaking because he's Pochita, he seems upset.
That was his reason to live.
Yeah, that this is where, my buddy, you didn't have to do that. No, I love you, buddy. And so with that, though, he wakes up, oh no, zombies, because he's right in the middle of these zombies. He kind of walks into this warehouse again, what's going on? This zombie devil's oh my God, you're alive again. It says, no, I really hate these, devil hunters. Get at them, boys. Get that freak. Eat them. And you do have this progression where Denji's kind of what's going on? He's kind of in a daze as these zombies are all right, we're going to eat them this time. We can't just slice them. We have to really get rid of them. And he comes in, and that's where you end up. Now it kicks it up a notch, right? Because Denji goes, okay, you're going to get it and you're away. You're going to die. And he pulls the ripcord. And the big play here that's so well done in my mind is you don't then see Chainsaw Man right away. You see the decimation. You see some chainsaw, carnage, but you don't necessarily see him. You just see blood, guts, zombies everywhere. You see a bit of a chainsaw. Boom, boom. Then you kind of get a glimpse at one point, but not the full deal. It is played out where if you end up reading a couple times, the first time I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, okay, I see kind of chain, I see a hand, but okay. And then you go and then you see the face, and now it gets horrific. I mean, this isn't the idea of a combination of Denji and Pochita. It's not making a cute monster here. It's not making Chainsaw Man himself is not nice. And yeah, a devil, because again, you have to remember Pochita, cute as a button, devil dog chainsaw deal. So when you end up where this zombie guy, he just knows he's done. And you see full out Chainsaw Man then leap up and just put one chainsaw arm right through an eyeball. And it's so awesome, but it's so disgusting. And it ends up cutting him in half. Everybody's getting splurted with blood and ends up in, and since I get paid to be a devil hunter, I got to kill these devils dead. So he's still himself in that and thinks that, I don't know who he thinks is paying him for this, but he does think that I'm going to go, and he's all crazed up. And yeah, these guys are done. They are so done.
He puts his head through a guy.
Yeah, just splitting people, cutting heads off, going through. This one guy gets the chainsaw through that, the eyeballs popping out. Oh, it's crazy. And again, the play here, without it being that a lot of people would get upset, manga, black and white, whatever, but you can do these sort of things, and it ends up being more cool. If this is just, you wouldn't have anything but red everywhere, and I like that you still get that detail. The black and white really plays it off.
It still plays out well.
Yeah, just destroying everything. You even get that Yakuza grandpa, and like, I know if I kill every last one of you, it's bye-bye debt. And the funny thing is, it is bye-bye debt because there's no Yakuza left.
No money, but nobody's going to be charging him either.
You see him, and he's got chainsaw arm deal. He's got one in the head. He's got his tongue hanging out. It's awful. And he's just ripping through these devils. He does. He just kills everyone. He slices and dices everyone.
The whole factory.
In that, it's such a weird way to be all hyped up, like, oh, you did it, Denji. But Denji at this point has a chainsaw coming out of his head, and he's just covered in blood.
But you're still rooting for him.
You're rooting for him, and it's the craziness of this. But then out of nowhere, because you could think that at the end he'll be like, I'm the king of the world. He's like Leonardo DiCaprio chainsaw guy. I'm the king of the world. That doesn't end it, because all of a sudden you get the men and girls in black show up. You have no idea what's going on, but they end up in like, oh, look at these zombies. They're all dead. Somebody beat us to the punch. Oh my God. And they're like, oh, one's living. We know that it's Denji and Pochita here. And this woman comes up and starts smelling him and says, this is weird. It's not a human or a devil. It's kind of a combo, weird deal. And all of this is very gritty and in the shadows. All of a sudden, boom, the lights come on, and you're like, oh, this lady's kind of cute. Like, all of a sudden, she's just there with swirly eyes. Oh, like, everything is like, what is this? And she says, did you do this? Did you end up doing this to what is Chainsaw Man? And the craziest, I'm telling you, it plays out so great. He starts collapsing and says, hold me. And she ends up grabbing him. He got his hug.
Dream comes true.
You could say that this could have been a one shot.
It could end there, you know?
He gets the hug, and then as he's dying, she gets a piece of jam bread and shoves it in his mouth. But
let's play video games.
She ends up hugging him, and he's kind of dissipating back to being just Denji then. And she says, you're human. And one of the guys with her. Now, again, she's fully clear in the light. These other guys, because they kind of, in my mind, they're still kind of sus and probably would kill him. They're still in the shadows when they're talking and say like, hey, is there a chance it's a possession? Should we kill him? And she goes, no. And she seems to be something special herself right away with being able to sniff it up and her swirly eyes. But she says, no, I can see possession on their faces. That's it. And she reveals they were there to kill that zombie devil. He ended up doing this. She says, I'm a public safety devil hunter. Remember at the beginning, at one point when the gangsters were talking, they end up saying, this kid with the devil, that's on the down low. That's black market devil hunting. He was not legit. You see now there were legit ones. And even when the gangster says, nobody's going to deal with the Yakuza and deal with devil hunting, that's why we're using this kid. So you see that there are.
And that's subtle, but it's all connected.
It's really good. And just that hug, and then it goes even here because she says, You have a choice now. And the weird part is it's kind of heartbreaking near the end, even though it looks like now, oh, he's getting all his wishes. Because she says, you could be a zombie or a devil, and I'll kill you right now. That's choice one. Choice two almost comes down to, you could be my dog, just like he was before. And you're like, really?
But it's still a better deal than what he had.
And the best is, she says, you could be my pet, and I'll give you food and stuff, and you could do this. And he said, food? What would we have for it? It's funny to me. The one thing that I would play out here is, I don't know that he would definitely care breakfast, lunch, dinner, because he was only ever eating one meal a day. I wish that he ended up, because he's like, if she said, yeah, you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, then he'd be like, well,
three?
What is dinner? You know what I mean? What is secondsies? But he says, what would I get for breakfast? And it's so great. And she's like, breakfast? Well, let's see. And I actually thought that you should have ended with the bread with butter and jam. But she says, well, a bread with butter and jam, salad, coffee, and maybe dessert.
Oh.
He has just been a chainsaw man. They are still laying in a pile of just dead zombies. He goes off to dreamland going, it's a dream come true. And then it ends. And I'm like, that might be one of the best things I've ever read in my life. Because, again, it really plays out why I think it is a really good first chapter, like a My Hero Academia as well. You could just read that and be like, oh my God, that's awesome, and move on. More so that this really feels like it really could have been a one shot, and at the end, oh, it's a dream come true, and you're like, oh man, he got it, right?
Self-contained story, but you're still ready for more.
Yeah, and the character work is, I mean, when you read something, and there's a lot of times we talk about it when we do our Manga Monday shows, or even when we were doing the weekly show, whatever. Mm-hmm. There's times when we read something. You had it with Midoriya, and I could say Midoriya in My Hero, he was bullied, but he fought back. There's reasons why you get behind, and then really get behind an underdog like this. But there's also like that secret sauce that's mixed in that by the end, I'm like, why do I love this so much? It's because I do. I mean, there's times where it's hard to really explain why I'm so into the characters. You can give me like, well, you saw this and that and the other thing, but there is that deal that's a combo of, the dialogue, also
you
the art, also all that. I mean, I'm so like, at this point, I want to jump in and start fighting with him to help him out. Maybe even lend him some money. Now, I may actually end up, being like the Yakuza, and I'm going to take interest in the finder's fee because I'm a piece of crap. But
give him some jam.
You end up at the end, like it becomes more of just like, oh man, that's a comic I read, or that's a manga, and that's a character that's kind of cool. It's like it's weird. It's so overblown for me to say it, but it feels like it's like a family member. I'm like, I love these characters.
With Midoriya, like you can kind of relate to him a little bit, like it's a lot more down to earth and realistic. Yeah, you have the superheroes, but you have like just a nice kid down on his luck. This is the ultimate underdog. Like, he has a dog, but he is the underdog.
Oh my God,
like we might not be able to relate to having one eye and one testicle and being millions in debt, but like you can go through that struggle.
He never gets down.
He is such a nice kid.
He always has his dreams and then feels guilty. He says, as these gangsters ended up in they were dreaming to be bigger too. That kind of sucks. And maybe I dreamt. I went too big. I was dreaming too much, and now it screwed me. He dreamed to get jam on a piece of... That's it. Piece of bread with jam and to hug a girl. And by the end here, he gets it to a point where you almost think like, okay, you did it, buddy, you did it. And things get wonky, and then how we go forward, because you end up so excited and so happy for him. You don't think fully of, okay, what has he gotten himself into now as we go forward? But it's so good. It's so good. Pochita, I do, and they have plushies for Pochita. I always wanted to get one. I might have to get one eventually because he's so great. He's so great. And just one of the best character designs of anything I've ever seen in my life.
So simple, but it works so well.
Because it makes people stop and say, what's going on with this dog-looking thing with a chainsaw coming out? And it gets you excited to kind of go in and see him. When you see it, it's even better. So, yeah, I love it. I love it. So it's one of the near perfect deals.
There's not a lot we would change out of this. Maybe not one for every, like, with My Hero, that's what we could recommend for everybody.
All
Maybe,
ages, yeah. This is a little gory
not
and whatever,
all
but
ages, but like, if you're up, if you can stomach it, there's nothing else like it.
Pochita, such a cute character design and stuff that you might look at it and just see it, that looks goofy. Oh, that's a kiddie thing or whatever. It's far from that.
Nope.
And it really deals with, like, mature themes. Mature, as they say.
Mature.
Yeah, suicide in that, and also death, and also being used. All these things going on. But yet, at the end, what wins out are the characters, Denji and Pochita, that you end up like, I'll follow them, whatever. Because I get all excited every time I read. I've read this first chapter so many times.
And it still hits.
And I love it. I love it so much. It's one of the best, first chapters in my mind to go with the deal. Because, you end up having all that set up, and then you wonder, okay, what is this lady up to? What's going on? And then, we'll go forward with that. That's what's cool about this. Not just like when we did a Manga Monday or whatever, and we do a first chapter, you're like, all right, that's it. I like the idea that we're going to go forward and we can gush about it.
We can go on the journey together.
So I hope that everybody enjoyed listening. I hope everybody read this because it is one of the best that I think. And an anime coming. And I asked you that earlier because I swear to God, at points we were like, there's got to be an anime for this. Got to be. And then I didn't remember if that was just us saying there's got to be, but I did think that, you had told me that there's going to be one coming up. So that'll even get it bigger, so that's
even
cool.
Bigger.
You're getting in on the ground floor. But with that, thanks everybody for listening once again. I hope that you're enjoying this new phase of the Weird Science Manga and Anime podcast. We hope that everybody can jump on, and that's why we did it. So we could get excited about these things again. Not that we were hating or, whatever, but it seemed like a lot of people weren't actually reading some of the newer stuff coming out. So we go to this and we'll see how it works out.
This is something everybody can join in on.
Yeah, and really, I hope everybody does. And so with that, go over to our Twitter at Weird Manga. Follow us, we'll follow you back. Go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science Manga to get, give us a little heads up, not heads up, but a little solid again, help us out so that we don't have to sell our testicle or eyeball.
No.
Who knows how things are in our neck of the woods. But you also get a bunch of shows as well. Early access to about 10 of the Manga Monday shows. Bangers, as Luke says. Ooh. And also early access to all of the reading clubs so you can kind of get on board. And we're going to figure out some extra things to do as well, whether it be a Picks of the Week, because me and you are still reading the weekly books. You a little more than me. I end up having to catch up at points, but I am reading them. What Spy Family you say? You end up with that, but maybe even some things that we can play in where maybe we will review like an anime episode of one of the books that we're doing or things like that occasionally. So we'll see how it goes. But again, we get more support, we get more shows, all that stuff all plays out, and then everybody can decide what they want from us. Right? We'll do that. But all that stuff in the show notes. Thanks, everybody. And again, it'd be cool if we get some email as well. So I'll say that, Weird Science Manga. WeirdScienceManga@gmail.com.
There you go.
Tell us, because it kind of gets a little lonely in the podcast land. You never know if you're actually talking to anybody and whatnot or what they like and things. So we like that as well. So that'd be awesome. We get that. And if you end up having specific, like a Chainsaw Man deal, we'll read it during the Chainsaw Man podcast and things like that. So just let me know. Maybe even put in the subject line for Chainsaw Man or for Jujutsu Kaisen, all that. So with all that stuff, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining me, Luke, as always. And we will talk to everybody later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird Science
It's the revolution.
Weird Science
It's the revolution.
Weird Science
It's the revolution.